Welcome one and all, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, to another one of Nathan Bell's response videos, commentary videos. They deal with politics, society, culture, art, all sorts of fascinating and interesting stuff from what is a truly fascinating and interesting mind. I would like to ask Nate today to talk about his drug use.
Yeah, well, I wanted to talk about my drug use because I get frustrated because, as a street performer, I'm out on the street and I'm a pretty rough guy. I don't feel any urgency to present myself well to other people because I don't care what you think of me. But I get a lot of people making these assessments of me, and that's fine. People make their assessments, but I want to clarify that a lot of people's assessments of me are wrong. Over the years that I've been busking while I've been out on the street, playing music, I've had that many people tell me, they don't even ask me, they tell me that I'm an ice user, they tell me that I use needles and that I smoke meth and that I shoot ice. Now that couldn't be further from the truth. I've never used ice in my life. I've never taken drugs with a needle in my life. I've never injected drugs. The only needle I ever get isn't any needle I get at the doctor. Every fortnight I get a needle from the doctor for my antipsychotic. So I'm certainly not going around shooting up ice, and I'm certainly not going around shooting up heroin. And the reality is, for a large part of my 20s, I was very anti-drugs and I only drank alcohol. I come from Maitland, and me and the guys, my friends in Maitland, we were a bunch of guys. We used to hang around and we used to drink all the time. And I'd say I was a pretty bad alcoholic for a long time. I'd drink 3 or 4 times a week, so I don't deny that. But, me and my mates from Maitland, when I was in my 20s, we weren't using ice. We weren't even smoking cannabis. For many, many, many years, I didn't even smoke cannabis. So what I'll detail my drug use over the years. When I was about 16, I took up cigarettes and started drinking alcohol. A lot of people start drinking alcohol when they're about 16. And at the time, I started smoking cannabis. And I've been consistently smoking cigarettes since. And I smoked cannabis and drunk alcohol simultaneously from about the age of 16 through to about 19 or 20. Then at about the age of 20, because of mental health reasons, I gave up smoking cannabis and continued drinking alcohol, and I didn't smoke any cannabis again at all until I was about 27 years old. Now also when I was about between the age of 16 and 19, I used speed amphetamines probably about 10 to 15 times out of curiosity. I never shot it up. I never used needles. I always drank it out of the sappy. So I have had speed because I'm 37, so speed was what was around when I was a teenager. It wasn't ice. Ice wasn't around yet. So right through my 20s, from about the age of 19 till about 27, all I did was smoke cigarettes and drink alcohol. Now, I drank way too much alcohol, I don't deny that, but I certainly didn't smoke any cannabis, and I didn't use any ice. And I have actually, despite what people might think when they see me in the street and the assumptions they want to make about me, I have never used MDMA. I'm very interested in MDMA now that MDMA has become a medical option. I'm interested in, and I've actually come to the conclusion, I never took MDMA because I thought it would be bad for my mental health, because I was very involved in the mental health system, and they teach us all that these drugs are bad for us. But now that MDMA is becoming an option for treating PTSD and other mental illnesses, I'm a big supporter of people's right to use medicinal MDMA, and I also have concluded that people should be able to use MDMA recreationally, because if MDMA is produced safely and regulated, then people won't overdose because it won't be tainted, because a lot of overdoses, as I understand, are because of other products that are in the MDMA, and there is a safe dosage of MDMA which people can have which won't harm them. So I believe in regulating MDMA and letting people use MDMA recreationally, but I have never used MDMA because I didn't think it would be good for me, and I was worried about the effects, so I avoided it. I've also never used LSD or any other psychedelics for the same reason, because I was very involved in mental health, and they always urged us away from these drugs, saying they would damage our mental health. So I avoided psychedelics and LSD for a very long time. And again, since I've come on board and become an End the War on Drugs activist, I'm very pro people's right to use LSD. I think LSD and other psychedelics are a spiritual drug. and I think that people can use them recreationally and also as a medicine, and that should be acceptable in our society. But I've never used psychedelics or LSD, so I don't appreciate these people who want to label me an ice user and say that I'm popping pills and getting on the mushrooms, because that's not true. But I will acknowledge I'm a big supporter of legalising these drugs, and I'm very excited to try psychedelics because I have religious, spiritual, supernatural beliefs around altered states of consciousness, and contacting the spirit world like the ancients did with the use of psychedelics. I believe the ancients used psychedelics to communicate with the spirit world, and I want to try psychedelics to communicate with the spirit world, and I have written to the government and demanded access to psychedelics for religious reasons, for religious spiritual reasons, because I believe when you use psychedelics you come into touch with a higher plane of existence. But I have to this day avoided using psychedelics. I want the government to give me a script for psychedelics. So despite what the assessments people want to make when I'm out on the street busking, that's to pay for cigarettes and cannabis. It's not to pay for ice and MDMA and LSD. I don't use those drugs. So anyone who wants to make that assessment of me, you're wrong. And I really get fed up with it because I get it all the time. People want to make this assessment that I'm an ice user and that I shoot up, but I'm not. That is not true. So I'm taking this opportunity to give you the truth about my drug use. Now, further about my drug use, at the age of 27, I took up cannabis again, and I now view cannabis as medicinal, and it relaxes me and it makes me feel good. So I don't see that anyone should have the right to tell me that I can't use it. My view is that it should be legal. It's a good drug. It's good for people. And I also, at the age of 27, gave up alcohol. So I haven't drunk. I'm 37 now, and I haven't drunk alcohol in bloody years. So, all these people want to make this assessment that I'm this big raring drug addict, but I don't even drink any alcohol. And all you people are out there getting pissed all the time, that's fine. I'm not going to tell anyone not to drink alcohol, but actually I'm cleaner than you people. And that's what I want. That's what I feel like saying to a lot of these guys that come up to me in the street and say, oh, is this to pay for ice? Is this to pay for heroin? Is this to pay for alcohol? Look, the reality is I'm cleaner than most people you will meet in the community, because most people in the community are pissed out of their minds every weekend, taking pills, and using LSD, and I haven't done those drugs. So I'm actually cleaner than most of the people who are criticising me for being an ice user. So it's about time we got the facts straight about my drug use. So I don't drink any alcohol, haven't drunk any alcohol in a long time, and have no intention of drinking alcohol again. I may, I'm only 37, hopefully I live a long time, perhaps I will drink alcohol again in my life, but I've got no intention of drinking alcohol again anytime soon. So that's just a bit of a talk to clarify my drug use and the views that some people have expressed that I'm this big junkie, because it's simply not true. I'm cleaner than most people you will meet in the community. But again, I support people's right to use recreational drugs. My view is if you're having a good time and you're not hurting anyone, you can do what you want. I think people should be able to use cocaine if they can use it responsibly. People should be able to have a couple of lines of cocaine on the weekend. And if you have an addiction, I believe in treating addiction as a medical issue, and we should treat addicts as they need support to recover from addiction. But I think people should be able to smoke as much cannabis as they want, as long as they're not hurting anyone, and they can pop pills, and they can take LSD, and they can snort cocaine, as long as they're responsible and they're not doing any harm to anyone else. I think it should all be legal and regulated by the state. So to all the people who think I'm this big raring meth addict, you're wrong, and I'm taking this opportunity to say you're wrong and stop making those ignorant assumptions about me. So drop a comment in the comment section about your drug use and what you think about what I've said about my drug use.